Exposed. The terrifying secrets of the cursed Manananggal haunting for 300 years. The old wives' tales erupted that night like a storm. The Manananggal is back. Whispered voices echoed through the dimly lit hospital corridors, creeping into the sterile wards where Lisa, a dedicated nurse, worked tirelessly. The air felt electric with fear, as if every flickering light and shadow had a life of its own. The chilling legend spoke of a creature that could rip families apart under the moonlight, of wives who abandoned their homes to feast on the blood of their loved ones. As Lisa pushed a syringe into the vein of a sleeping patient, her heart raced. Such folklore belonged to the realm of nightmares. Yet, doubts began to gnaw at her, a sense of dread clawing from her gut to her throat. Days later, her daughter Emma came home with wide, terrified eyes. "Mom, you won't believe this." She spoke in frantic bursts, words tumbling out like rocks from a landslide. A neighbor's child had gone missing, just like that, snatched from the safety of their suburban haven. And whispers began to swirl like dark clouds. Was the Manananggal real? Was it hunting? Lisa noticed the shift in her neighbors, their once cheerful greetings replaced by nervous glances and hushed conversations. Friends became shadows, and every once bright porch now glimmered with a sinister shade. Paranoia sank into her bones as she peered through the curtains. What had changed? Who was hiding something? Dreams haunted her nights, filled with the terror of shadowy figures clawing at her door. Her fingers trembled as she clutched the family photo on the wall. Her daughter, her world. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Each night brought fresh terror. Emma grew quieter, shadows painted under her eyes. Her fixation on the shadow monster rattled Lisa's protection instinct. What was happening to her daughter? It wasn't just the missing children anymore. It was the fear, the tight grip of paranoia squeezing tighter every day. Their house, once a fortress, felt suffocating. A cage filled with whispers. When she discovered the history of the Manananggal, the real stories behind the missing children, Lisa's heart sank. Lost children, hushed cries, betrayal hidden among the faces she'd known for years. The web of the cursed seemed intricately woven through their streets. She felt eyes on her, lurking in the dark corners of her mind, tracking her every move. Cornered by the truths hidden behind her neighbors' masks, she could feel time slipping away. The late nights turned into frantic days of searching conspiracies. Friends distancing, voices turning into shouts in the night, fears bubbling to the surface. The very people she had trusted for so long stood as a threat. As her breath quickened, she realized she was not just protecting herself. She was fighting for Emma and her own sanity. The hour grew late, darkness closing in on her like a fist. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the leaves, echoed the name Manananggal. Lisa gasped at the breath of cold air washing over her, giving her a sense of being watched, as though the monster itself lurked just outside, waiting to claim its next victim. What buried secrets lay within her community? And more terrifying, who could she trust in the night that was closing in around them? The final puzzle piece threatened all she'd fought to protect, and she had to know. Just how far would she go to save Emma? The dread was tangible, thickening the air around Lisa. Each tick of the clock overhead was like a death knell, reverberating in her mind as she paced the dimly lit halls of her once familiar home. The shadows seemed to stretch and elongate, twisting in ways that mirrored her mounting panic. "Mom, are you okay?" Emma's voice broke through the heavy silence, a soft ember of concern. Lisa turned, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a reassurance. "Just tired, sweetheart," she managed, though the truth clawed at her insides. The tension hung between them, unspoken fears mingled in the air like a sinister mist. "Can we lock the doors tonight?" Emma's gaze darted around the room, as if expecting a figure to emerge from the darkness. Of course, Lisa replied, her voice steadier than she felt. They secured the locks together, their hearts racing as they made the house an impenetrable fortress. But even as they barred their doors, the chill of vulnerability seeped through the walls. That night, every sound felt amplified. The wind howled outside, rattling the window panes as if inviting the horror lurking beyond. Lisa cringed at the creaks and groans of the house, soon convinced they were the whispers of the Manananggal, sneaking into their lives like a thief in the night. Then came the dreams. They morphed into vivid nightmares filled with images of crimson skies and blood-red moonlight, where writhing shadows danced just beyond her periphery. She felt trapped, unable to move, as if bound by the very stories she had dismissed. The nagging thought, what if it was real? What if she was wrong? One morning, as the sun broke free of its nocturnal chains, Lisa awoke gasping. She found herself racing to Emma's room, dread pooling in her stomach. Treading softly, she opened the door, heart pounding fiercely. "Emma," she whispered, desperation coating her voice. However, the bed was empty. The covers lay neatly tucked, but the space within felt cold, void of her daughter's warmth. Panic surged, fueling a frantic search. "Emma," she called, each syllable a prayer. Then, she noticed the flickering lights inside the living room, casting shadows that twisted grotesquely. "Mom!" Emma's voice echoed from behind the closed door. The sound was distorted, almost feline, and full of an unnatural edge. Lisa's heart dropped. With trembling hands, she flung the door open. The flickering lights created a strobe-like effect, illuminating Emma standing there, eerily still as if caught in a moment frozen in time. Her daughter's expression was vacant, eyes glimmering with something dark and hollow. Lisa took a tentative step forward, hardly recognizing the child she had known. And then Emma smiled. But it was not her daughter's smile. It was something far more sinister. "Mom, I've been waiting," her voice hissed, echoing through the room like a whisper carried on the wind. In that moment, time froze as the world around Lisa shattered into a million pieces. The darkness crept closer, and she felt it envelop her like a cloak, wrapping around her heart. What was happening? Her mind screamed, but her body refused to move. Just then, a loud bang echoed from the back of the house. Was it the door, or something more chilling? Lisa had only seconds to decide: run toward the dark crypt of uncertainty in the house, or confront the monstrosity that stole her daughter's face, and maybe even her soul. The choice loomed like an insatiable shadow, demanding blood, and the terror gripped her as one question flooded her mind. What price must she pay to save Emma? Lisa's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the sound of the howling wind outside. She was frozen, caught between the familiar contours of her home and the nightmarish vision standing before her. That smile, twisted and foreign, felt like a taunt. "Emma?" she breathed, her voice barely a whisper. Felt futile, like calling a spirit from beyond. But inside, a fierce mother's instinct clawed for control. Whatever stood before her wore her child's face. But it was not Emma. Not anymore. The flickering lights stuttered, casting wild shadows that danced across the walls, mocking her frozen state. Lisa took a shaky step back, her instincts screaming to flee, but the thought of leaving Emma, leaving this thing that had taken her, planted her feet firmly in place. "Mom," the voice, with its serpentine hiss, sent shivers down her spine. "I'm here to help you understand." "Understand what?" she shot back, desperation thick in her throat. "What have you done to my daughter?" In response, the figure tilted its head, and its features twisted grotesquely, mocking her pain. "She has gone, but I carry her. I've kept her safe." Lisa felt bile rise in her throat. Safe? How could anything be safe when her child was trapped inside that empty shell? "What do you want from me?" Her voice trembled, breathing in the acrid scent of terror that filled the room. The lights flickered again, and oh, how she wished she could just pull the curtain and let the light flood in. But each flash revealed the horror she could not escape. "You must choose, Lisa," it purred, stepping forward with unsettling grace. "Surrender to the darkness. Let the Manananggal consume you, and you shall see your daughter again." A sharp bang from the back of the house startled her from the taunting whispers of the being before her. That sound, it was louder and bolder than the last. An unholy invitation, perhaps? Lisa's instincts kicked in. She needed to protect Emma at all costs. With an urgency born from sheer terror, she spun around and raced toward the back of the house. As she sprinted through the hallway, shadows loomed larger, pressing in around her like hungry wolves. Each step echoed around her, a countdown to doom. Her mind reeled with questions, but the only thing that mattered was finding out what lurked in her home. The door at the back was slightly ajar, and the air was thick with an unsettling chill. She pushed it open, revealing a sunroom cloaked in darkness, the reflective surfaces of glass mirroring twisted forms in the corners. A shadow skittered just out of sight. "Emma," she called. The voice that came in response was not her child's, but a low crooning that crawled beneath her skin. "Do you really want to see her?" Lisa's breath came quick, and terror coursed through her veins. She felt the walls inch closer, the floor pulsing beneath her feet. "What have you done?" she demanded, each heartbeat thunderous in her ears. Faint, but growing stronger, a voice on the wind whispered, "Everything you've ever feared is waiting for you." Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, revealing a grotesque figure peeking through the glass, its sharp features glistening with something dark. A scream lodged in Lisa's throat, but she resisted the urge to run. She had to stand her ground. "Leave her alone," she shouted, heart racing. But then, just as she thought she might break through the haze of horror, a figure, familiar yet wrong, emerged from the shadows behind the creature. Emma stood there, eyes empty but nonetheless shining. "Mom," she murmured, the connection so strong, yet so terrifyingly wrong. Lisa's heart sank. "Emma," she cried out. Would she be able to retrieve her daughter, or was the darkness tightening its grip on them both? In that moment, the world grew silent. The answer would come at a cost, and Lisa felt the weight of every choice she had made crashing down around her. What was she willing to sacrifice to get her daughter back? The glass door swung wide, and a rush of icy air slammed into Lisa's face, the scent of decay sharper than ever. She clamped her jaw, fighting the urge to scream. Emma's hollow eyes bore into her, endless voids dulling the vibrancy of the child she knew. "Mom," Emma said, her voice swirling with shadows, a chilling echo that felt both near and far. "So dark here." "Emma." The cry was almost instinctive, a mother's heart ready to bridge an impossible gap. But the image of her child was slipping, twisting into something unrecognizable. The Manananggal lingered, its grotesque smile stretching wider, teasing her with promises that felt like daggers. "Your daughter is here," it hissed, stepping back slightly. "But darkness isn't what she fears. It's you who must embrace it." Lisa's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. "Release her," she commanded. The words felt futile, like shouting at a storm to flee. The creature merely chuckled, a low, rattling sound that dripped with malice. "Can you not see? You're the one who brought darkness into your home. You wished for this reality, for her to stay with you." "Stop," Lisa cried. "You're lying." "Am I?" The creature tilted its head, shadows swirling around it like smoke. "Every mother fears losing what she loves. You feared the world outside, remember?" Lisa's chest tightened at the bitter truth. Each time she kept Emma home, every worry about what captured her daughter's attention played like a broken record in her mind. A selfish shield forged of love turned into a cage. "Let her go," Lisa yelled again as she stepped forward, but every inch felt like wading through hot tar. It sucked at her legs, threatening to pull her under, but the figure only swayed, a ghostly dancer on the edge of reality. "Make your choice, Lisa. Your strength is nothing but a flicker amid this darkness." Behind her, Emma reached out with a trembling hand, fingers stretched to touch Lisa's. "Mom, please just come closer." A wave of confusion crashed over her. Was this her daughter pleading for salvation, or a sick mimicry of her child manufactured by the creature? "Kristen." The name shattered the moment, and Lisa turned to find the voice her sister, desperate and ragged, appearing in the doorway of the sunroom. Get away from her! But the moment was interrupted. Shadows surged from the corners of the room, tendrils snaking toward Lisa with sinister intent. The creature snarled as a swirl of black erupted from the shadows, lunging toward Kristen, snatching her just as she had stepped too close. Lisa felt her heart lurch. No! She moved, instincts flooding her as she lunged toward her sister, desperation clawing at her throat. With every step, darkness gnawed at her heels, icy fingers trailing up her spine. "Emma!" she screamed, the urgency raw and powerful. "Help! Please!" But the moments stretched painfully. The air felt thick, the tension so taut it could snap. Kristen screamed, a sound that echoed through Lisa's mind, blurring into whispers mixed with Emma's low murmur. "Help me! Mom, the darkness is coming." Suddenly, the fixated hold of the shadows converged. Everything around them seemed to pulse with dread, pulsating closer, threatening to consume them all. Lisa spun to see it all closing in. The monster, her daughter, everything engulfed by the relentless night. Was this the price to pay to save them? A sacrifice of sanity, maybe even her very soul? With the terror swirling and shadows thickening like a storm, Lisa realized that she was standing at a crossroads. The way forward was obscured, encased in dread, and she had to choose where to place her next footstep. "Don't give in," she screamed internally, gripping the terrifying uncertainty. But in that instant, the light flickered once more, illuminating the engulfing darkness around them. Would she step into that endless abyss? The choice lingered, waiting, ready to consume her. What was she willing to sacrifice? The shadows crashed around her like waves, the darkness pulsating with a life of its own. Lisa could feel the weight of her choices tugging at her, but time was slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. "Kristen!" she screamed, the name rising like a prayer. She could barely make out her sister's form, lost and writhing in the clutches of inky tendrils. The desperation in Kristen's eyes shattered Lisa's resolve. "Hold on! I'm coming!" The air thickened with a putrid scent, a bitter blend of rot and despair that clung to her throat. As she advanced, inch by agonizing inch, shadows sprawled like fingers of a puppet master, seeking to tighten their grip around her. Each step felt heavier than the last, her feet dragged by an unseen weight. Emma reached towards her mother, her face twisted with a blend of innocence and something darker. "Mom, please!" The child's voice flitted like a moth drawn to flame, illuminating the strained edges of Lisa's heart. Each plea was a reminder of what she stood to lose, yet the creature looming above them filled her with an overwhelming sense of dread. "Do you feel it?" The Manananggal rasped, its smile grotesque, torn lips curling like roots around a dying tree. "The fear? It's a delicious offering." "Shut up," Lisa snapped, trembling as she drew closer. Gritting her teeth, she fought against the pull of despair. The flickering light forced her to see the truth. She wasn't just fighting for Kristen and Emma. She was redeeming herself. Suddenly, the shadows lunged forward, crashing into her with a violent force. Lisa stumbled, the icy darkness claiming her ankles and creeping higher. She dug her nails into the hardwood floor, clawing for purchase. "No!" she screamed, the echo almost drowning in the creature's laughter. "Not now, Mom!" Emma's voice, once a tether, now echoed like a haunting reminder from a distant place. Lisa felt a crack in her own will as the walls seemed to close in, her breath hitching as she felt her resolve teeter on the brink. "Choose, Lisa, your daughter or your sister," the Manananggal taunted, its voice a sickening hiss that slithered into her mind. "You can't save them both. Only one can escape this darkness." Lisa's heart shattered, the oppressive weight of the choice provoking a wave of nausea. Each second piled with agony and fear, spinning her mind into chaos. Was it selfish to prioritize one soul over another? But the truth unfurled before her. Painful and raw, this was her reality, a twisted game shaped by her fears. "Let them go," she howled, every fiber of her being surging with unrefined energy. A flash of light shimmered in the darkness, a brief illumination of possibility, and with it, A sliver of hope ignited within her, but just as quickly as it appeared, the light flickered and died, swallowed by the crushing blackness. In that moment of vulnerability, Emily's outstretched hand was almost within reach. "Mom, I'm scared." Emma's voice faded, choked by the night closing around her. Lisa could see the undeniable truth dawning on her. Everything hung by a fragile thread, and the edges were fraying. Fueled by raw instinct, Lisa pushed forward despite the shadows crawling up her legs. She could almost taste the desperation in the air. It was sharp, metallic. Then, without a warning, the Manananggal surged, eyes ablaze as it coiled its form around Kristen, pulling her into the depths. "There, your choice," it mocked, laughter echoing through the room like a death knell. Lisa gasped, her chest heaving wildly. Terror collided with exhilaration as she squeezed through the dark. "I will not lose you." But was she too late? As she pressed on, adrenaline coursing through her veins, Lisa had only one question on her mind. What dark bargain would she have to strike to save them both? Would she be strong enough to face the darkness head-on? Or would it devour her alongside her loved ones? In that moment, the shadows pulsed, ready to pivot, awaiting their next victim. And as she reached for Emma, the flickering light went out, leaving nothing but a chilling void, taunting her with the finality of choice. The darkness swallowed her whole, a suffocating embrace that made her skin crawl. Lisa's heart raced, the pounding echoing in her ears as she clawed through the void. Out of the shadows, the Manananggal's laughter reverberated in her mind, a twisted melody that curled her heart in knots. "Help us," she screamed, the words desperate, reckless, but filled with purpose. Such courage, the creature hissed, an eerie satisfaction weaving through its voice. But courage alone cannot save you. With a final, frantic push, Lisa plunged forward, ignoring the ice that wrapped around her legs like chains. She had to reach Emma. She had to pull her daughter from the abyss before it consumed them both. But the pull of darkness was relentless. It latched onto her thoughts, whispering doubts that echoed like a drumbeat within her mind. Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye. Something glimmered far beyond the shadows, a dull, cold light that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was a waning thread of hope, the last remnant of the flicker she felt moments ago. Could she break through? "Lisa, please." Emma's voice, a fragile whisper, cracked through the murmur of the shadows, a lifeline tugging at her heart. "Hold on." The word was torn from her throat as Lisa fought against the terror wrapped around her. She lunged forward, arms outstretched, as she felt the cold breath of the Manananggal brush against her neck. "Let them go." Such grand illusions, the creature taunted, the darkness swirling closer, forming vicious patterns that encased her like a spider's web. "You cannot demand freedom from shadows made of fear." Lisa could feel its presence waiting, calculating. She had to strike, gathering every ounce of rage, every shred of love for her sister and her daughter. She spiraled onward. But the shadows were crafty. They shifted, feigned retreat, and regrouped, thickening, twisting, hungry for fear. Then a sound, a sharp crack. Lisa froze. The earth beneath her trembled. Out of the darkness, a figure emerged, tall and jagged, half-formed, yet unmistakably human. "Help her." It was Kristen, eyes wide, skin pale and drenched in darkness. The image was a ghost of what she was. "No," Lisa shrieked, trembling. "Kristen, don't." The realization ripped through her. The Manananggal was consuming her sister. "Fight it. You can break free." But Kristen's eyes glazed over, reflecting that oppressive void as an eerie smile crept onto her lips. "I'm free, Lisa, and so will you be." Before Lisa could react, her sister lunged, swallowed by the shadows and discarded like a puppet cut from its strings. "Mother." Emma's voice rang like a bell in the oppressive dark, imploring. The last semblance of hope shattered, replaced by the darkness creeping closer, feeding on her despair. A surge of panic ignited within her as Lisa felt the shadows coiling tighter, the tendrils gripping her, trying to snuff out her light. "No, I won't let you." In that moment, a visceral scream erupted from her throat. Beyond despair lay determination. She was not lost yet. As she fought, pulling every ounce of strength from her weary bones, the glimmer of that fading light surged with life again. But could it last? The shadows wavered for just a moment, flickering back, almost recoiling from her fierce energy. "What have you done?" the Manananggal roared, eyes blazing with fury. Lisa grasped at the light, at the warmth it promised. But the darkness fought back with a viciousness that pulled with all its might. "Save us!" Emma's cry pierced the haze, raw and desperate. Could she turn the tide? The choice loomed, sharp and jagged, like a knife pressed to her throat. Just then, she caught sight of a terrible truth that solidified within her. The Manananggal thrived on sacrifice. It needed a vessel, a conduit to draw from, and as she clashed against the tendrils, she felt the chilling clarity wrap around her like a cloak. What if she could provide it a different offering? Would she dare sacrifice herself? The shadows pulsed rhythmically, anticipating the choice. But in the eye of despair, new hope flickered again, urging her forward. Lisa inhaled the darkness. She held on to that tiny thread of light and plunged headfirst into the abyss, willing to fight back by taking a different path. Would it be enough to save them all, or would she spiral into madness? As the choking darkness embraced her, Lisa squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the unknown. The moment Lisa surrendered to the darkness, the sensation was like drowning water rushing in, wrapping its cold fingers around her throat, pulling her deeper. Her body felt weightless, suspended in an ocean of black. But somewhere within that suffocating void, the sliver of light still pulsed, inviting her to fight. "Hold on, Emma," she whispered, her voice barely more than a tremor in the air. Each word felt like a tether, a lifeline that stretched out to her daughter, who hung somewhere far beyond her reach. The shadows throbbed with anger, swarming around her, an array of clawed limbs and mouths whispering words of despair. "You think you can defy us? You are simply fuel for the fire," they taunted, their voices multiple, overlapping, like a sickening choir. But Lisa didn't answer. Instead, she began to actively wrestle with her emotions. Fear, yes, but beneath it there was something else: fury. As she felt her essence merging with the void, she imagined each of her fears shaping into a weapon. She wouldn't just resist. She would cut the darkness apart. And then she glimpsed it, an image faint but clear: Emma. Her daughter's face, wide-eyed and scared, flickering like an old film reel just beyond her reach. The determination surged within her, igniting a fire she thought had been snuffed out. "I'll protect you," Lisa screamed, her voice crackling through the darkness. A pulse of energy surged from her heart, a wave that radiated outward. The shadows began to recoil, morphing and writhing as if in pain. "Your spirit is strong, but it is foolish." The Manananggal's voice, filled with a mix of rage and surprise, rang out. "You will regret this choice." Lisa focused on the image of Emma, her tiny hands grasping in distress. She felt her own hands clench tight, carving through the black tendrils surrounding her. With each heartbeat, that flicker of hope grew stronger. She reached within her soul and seized it. She concentrated, channeling every ounce of maternal love into that light, a radiant beam that shot through the void like a spear. Around her, the shadows writhed, actively resisting but failing. They were torn between fear and hunger, and Lisa could sense their struggle. "You want a feast? Then, let us see how it tastes on the other side." The pain inside her chest intensified, but she embraced it. "I am not your meal," she howled, flinging that energy outward, catching the cold tendrils and igniting them into flames of light. The dimness began to shatter, cracking like glass under pressure, fragments of fear falling away. Suddenly, a deafening scream erupted from the dark, an unearthly wail that rattled through Lisa, chilling her to the bone. The Manananggal was here. She could sense its malevolent presence swirling with a fury she had never witnessed before. Shards of darkness darted at her, striking and clawing, but each strike gave her more resolve. "Release her. Let Emma go," Lisa roared, summoning the rest of her strength. But the tense atmosphere thickened. She had become acutely aware of the tight-knit fabric surrounding them, almost elastic, pulling at her with every ounce of its being. And then, like a clap of thunder, it opened. The sensation was disorienting. A rush of blinding light encased her, the darkness flickering, twisting, screaming as it began to unravel. But where was Emma? The light shimmered and faded, revealing only harsh, shadow-drenched whispers. Fear sank deep into her gut. Had she lost that connection? Lisa, a voice soft yet strong, carried through the chaos. It was Emma. Her eyes flew wide open and electricity shot through her veins. Fueled by love, she followed the sound, fearing what it implied, praying she hadn't acted too late. "I'm coming," she cried, extending her hands toward where she believed her daughter was trapped. The light flickered again, but in its warmth, hope began to flood back. Yet as sudden as it came, insecurity crept in. Had she severed the bond between them? And then, all at once, silence fell heavy. Shadowy outlines began to coalesce, shaping the faces that Lisa once knew and those that she had lost. Kristen's ghastly grin loomed large, now polished and monstrous in the shimmering light, urging her closer. "What have you done, sister?" It was Kristen, but warped, her voice coiling, promising sweet darkness and delivering icy dread. Lisa's heart dropped into her stomach, fear swallowing her whole. "I'll never join you," she screamed back into the face of the illuminated void. Would she have to battle her own sister? The answer loomed, unanswered in the terrifying stillness. And beneath the silence, a low, unacknowledged whisper of betrayal skittered through the dark as Lisa stood against the swirling shadows. She had to wonder, had she truly brought light into the dark, or had she awakened a far deeper evil? The air pulsed with a dreadful energy, the heavy tension practically crackling around Lisa. Moments stretched like elastic, her heart thundering in her chest. Kristen's twisted form towered over her, eyes glinting with a malice that chilled Lisa to her bones. "Do you see them?" Kristen's voice dripped with mockery, pointing with a long, clawed finger. "Your precious memories. They're here with you, yet they're lost." Shadows flickered, revealing faces that Lisa had tried to forget: her mother, her father, childhood friends. Each face wore a hollow expression, drifting into the flickering light like phantoms trapped between worlds. "No," she protested, gnashing her teeth. "You can't have them. They're gone." Anger surged through her, hot and fierce. "But I won't let you take me either." "Take?" Kristen's laugh echoed strangely, bouncing off the darkness. "My dear sister, they are here because of you. You fed the darkness willingly. You think your light can save you? It only makes you a brighter feast." With each word her sister spoke, Lisa felt the textures of her resolve unravel. The fleeting images were intoxicating moments wrapped in nostalgia, bitter and sweet, but they were also traps, painted with the venom of regret. As if sensing her hesitation, the air thickened, and shadows clawed closer. Lisa staggered backward, catching herself on an unseen wall. The light beguiled her, yet behind it lurked despair. Heart racing, she focused on the warmth of Emma. The sheer force of her daughter's spirit anchored her. "Emma, I'm coming. I am fighting for you," Lisa shouted, channeling desperation into resolve. Kristen's form began to morph, limbs stretching grotesquely, transforming into horrible appendages, a reminder of the Manananggal she had learned so much about. Each segment bared teeth that gleamed like knives, threatening to rend the fragile peace of her mind. "You think your love will shield you?" Kristen lunged, her form expanding, swarming with shadows that rushed at Lisa in a clamor. A whirlwind of despair spun within, a cyclone fueled by countless fears that whispered terrifying secrets. But in that storm, Lisa gripped her thoughts tightly. One image surfaced, cutting through the chaos. Emma, peering at her through the cracks of darkness, eyes bright with determination. Just beyond reach, but yearning for her, for hope. "Time to test that love," Kristen sneered. "Let us see if it's strong enough to burn." The darkness around Lisa twisted and turned, growing tighter with every heartbeat. She braced herself as tendrils lashed out, wrapping around her arms, pulling her toward the maw of shadows. Sharp nails glinted, slashing at her memories, ripping fragments from her mind, the farewell hugs, the laughter of Emma's childhood. Each sweet sound a target. No! Lisa's scream sliced through the air, echoing inside and outside of her. With a primal growl, she called up the energy within her, that fierce love igniting once more, transforming into a blazing wall of light. Break! She roared, as the light surged outward like the sun breaking through a storm. Shadows recoiled, shrieking as they evaporated in the face of that rage. Yet, in that moment of triumph, doubt lingered. This might only be temporary. If she was right, what then? Would this light keep them at bay, or merely delay the darkness from consuming her completely? Amidst the swirling remnants of shadow, something stirred. A figure moved at the edge of her vision, shrouded in smoke and darkness. Your daughter's fate depends on your next choice, it rasped, its voice chilling. Lisa's heart dropped. What choice? What dark bargain awaited her? She felt something slimy brush against her ankle, a creeping dread invading her resolve as the shadows whispered, promising freedom if she would only take the leap. Lisa! Emma's voice rang out again, shaking her from that terrifying temptation. Would she sacrifice everything in an effort to save her daughter? What price was she willing to pay? As uncertainty hung palpably in the air, darkness shifted. A new source of light flickered at the corner of her. Tantalizing and terrifying. Was there more to the curse than mere survival? What had she truly set in motion? An ominous feeling settled in her soul as the threads of fate began to weave tighter around them all. The battle was far from over. The figure in the shadows shifted closer, tendrils of darkness clinging to it like a shroud. Lisa's instincts screamed at her to flee, but she could not abandon that flicker of hope, the small light that was Emma. What choice? She breathed, desperation coating her words. The air trembled with an unsettling energy, a prelude to something terrible yet to come. Every bargain has its price. The figure hissed, its voice a slithering whisper that echoed unervingly in her mind. To save your daughter, you must confront the very darkness that lies within you. Embrace it, and become more than just your memories. Images of Emma, vibrant and alive, caused the warmth in Lisa's heart to swell, but the figure's presence darkened the corners of her mind. Every happy memory felt as if it hung by a thread, ready to slip away into the vast undertow of shadows. What does that mean? Instantly, shadows slithered like cold snakes, circling her legs, creeping up toward her heart. Panic surged, and sweat slicked her palms. I want to become like her, she shouted defiantly, pointing at Kristen, who now loomed closer, illuminated by an otherworldly glow that flickered like dying embers. I'll never accept it. But just as Lisa spoke, a wave of icy air surged over her. It felt like tendrils slipping beneath her skin, curdling her blood. Despair gnawed at her consciousness, whispering that maybe giving in would spare Emma from this nightmare. Let go of your struggle, the figure hissed. Your darkness is a powerful tool, and to utilize it is the only way to save your daughter. In doing so, all fear and pain will cease. Lisa's heart faltered. What was she supposed to do? Join the darkness? Would it even save Emma? Would it even save herself? The shadows danced erratically, whispering promises that twisted and turned like a dagger in her gut. Behind the cacophony, she could still hear Emma's voice cutting through. Mom! Emma! It was a cry, tinged with terror and urgency. The shadows pulsed, each thrum almost mocking her, giving her hope only to snatch it away. No, but the wretched faces of the past whispered a different tune, one of despair begging for release. Their hollow eyes bore into her, filled with a yearning that echoed her own. But every joyful memory came at a cost, each face dull with regret, reminding her of everything she had lost, all the pieces she could never reclaim. Lisa felt the weight of their sorrow crumbling her resolve. You want to take me down too? You can't. She dug her nails into the wall she found earlier, fighting back against the heaviness that threatened to consume her. Kristen's laughter rippled through the darkness, merging with the shadows. You cannot escape it. You are the darkness. A spark ignited in Lisa, fueled by determination. If her love for Emma could create light, then perhaps there was a way to fight back. No, I am more than these shadows. I am more. The light inside her flared again, cracking through the enveloping void. Yet as it did, shadows writhed angrily, boiling with rage around her. They hissed and contorted, a dreadful symphony of fury. Enough! The figure screamed, its presence flaring wider, more ominous. Suddenly, an ear-piercing shriek pierced the air, echoing through the emptiness. Then everything went still. Lisa stood, heart pounding, breath frozen in her chest as silence enveloped her. What had happened? A cold realization washed over her. In that moment, she had provoked something much darker. The tranquility was an omen now. Everything depended on her next decision. Choose, Lisa, or lose, the shadowed form murmured, retreating into the dark corners with an unsettling promise that left a chill settling deep in her bones. Facing Kristen, she felt a tremor of fear ripple through her. Was she willing to face the real horrors underlying this curse? Shadows loomed ominously, gathering in mass as their whispers twisted the air around her. Could she summon enough strength to save Emma? The darkness pull tightened, demanding she succumb. Please just let me save her. But would she make a deal with what haunted her deepest fears? As the whispers grew louder, Lisa's world darkened, suspended between hope and despair, forced to confront a terrifying truth. What lay in the depths of her own darkness? And was she prepared to face it? Lisa stood at the precipice, her heart pounding like thunder, wrapped up in the chaos of shadows and whispers. The darkness unfolded around her, a heavy blanket pressing down, vowing to snuff out her light. But through it all, Emma's name burned bright in her mind, a fire ignited by love and desperation. She had come too far to let fear dictate her fate. Embrace it, the shadowy figure hissed, its voice curling around her like smoke, tempting. Become what you must to save her. No, Lisa shouted, her words breaking the grip of temptation. I won't let the shadows define me. A fierce determination surged through her. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a reclaiming of her strength, her identity, her love. The memories of laughter, hugs, and Emma's bright eyes filled her with an overwhelming rush. Moment by moment, she grasped at each one, pulling them toward the forefront of her mind. The shadows shrieked, thrashing against the warmth that broke through the suffocating pinch of despair. She would not let them take her. Get away from us, she cried, channeling all the might pooled within her chest. The air crackled as she pushed forward, imagining that light spilling out, encompassing everything in its path. Emma, I'm coming. In a breathtaking rush, Lisa felt the weight of the void receding. The dark tendrils flailed and twisted, seeking to reclaim what it had lost. She thrust her hands outward, summoning every ounce of maternal instinct. I am more, she shouted, and with that declaration, she unleashed a wave of fiery luminescence. The shadows writhed in agony, their forms twisting and coiling, shrieking as they splintered under the intensity of her light. The Manananggal's laughter echoed like shattering glass, its form evaporating. No, you will regret this. But Lisa was undeterred. She focused on Emma, feeling the bond that tied their hearts together. Trust me, baby. I'm right here. And just like that, through the chaos, she spotted her. Emma, trapped by shadows, but still there clinging to a thread of hope, her eyes a mixture of fright and unwavering faith. Mom, Emma cried, reaching out. The connection flickered like a candle, risking snuffing out. Hold on, sweetie, Lisa shouted, bursting past the lingering shadows that still clawed at her. With every step, her love resonated through the air, amplifying her resolve. The light around her flared brighter, wrapping Emma in its embrace. I'm coming. In that moment, time suspended, the world as they knew it standing still. Lisa surged forward, her body fueled by tension, desperation, and an unyielding drive to wrap her arms around her daughter once more. Stay with me. Shadows writhed in protest, thumping against her from all sides. But she kept moving, her heart lit with an unwavering fire. You are strong. You are brave. I love you." She was almost there. With a final, defiant stab of energy, Lisa dove into the core of darkness, determined to pull Emma from its clutches. The arms of shadows reached outward, but her light surged forth, scattering them like fragile glass. "Mom!" Emma's fingers brushed Lisa's, and in that moment, warmth surged through both their beings, a tidal wave of love that shattered the darkness around them like ice beneath the sun. As they connected, a blinding light erupted, casting away shadows like autumn leaves in the wind. The darkness howled, dissipating into a dust of nothing, hollowed out and rendered powerless against their combined strength. In the chaotic aftermath, silence wrapped around them like a cocoon. Lisa held Emma tightly, clinging to her as they sank to the ground. Heart racing, she breathed in the sweet air filled with warmth and light. "I thought I lost you," Lisa said, cradling her daughter's face in trembling hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks, a mixture of fear and relief causing her chest to tighten. "You saved me," Emma whispered, squeezing her hand. Suddenly, awakening memories flooded Lisa's mind. The love she fought to protect had birthed a power more profound than the darkness ever could understand. And as she embraced Emma, reconciliation and hope blossomed in her spirit. Together, they would rebuild, facing a world that had once seemed so terrifying, hand in hand. They stood and walked toward the door, shoulder to shoulder, ready to step into the fresh light of a new day, preparing to reclaim what was theirs. As they stepped into the sunlight, the shadowy nightmare behind them evaporated into the ether, never to haunt them again. This was more than just survival. It was a promise, a testament to everlasting love, the strongest force of all. And as Lisa wrapped her arm around Emma, they both knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. With that, the curtains closed on their haunting, and the shadows faded into mere whispers of the past. But for you, dear viewer, this isn't the end. You need to subscribe now to ensure you're here for future stories that promise to captivate and thrill. Smash that like button. Your support feeds the algorithm and helps us create more. Don't be shy, flood the comments below with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who crave thrilling tales like this one. Your support is everything.